Give me coffee in the morning, gotta have the caffeine. Wake me up, shake me up, dip me back a pussy. Must shit to shit, set a feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive. Woke up in the morning, sleepy eyes yawning. Jumped out of bed, started the day, opened the curtains. Felt the cool breeze, the sun shining on my face. But something was missing, I needed my job to chase. Give me coffee in the morning, give me coffee in the morning, gotta have the caffeine. Wake me up, shake me up, dip me back a pussy. Must shit to shit, set a feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive.
Can you guys hear me okay? Something's going on this morning. I was been rolling along just fine all morning with perfect Wi-Fi, and now I decided to go live, and it's like, no, ma'am. So I hope we're up and running, and I hope you guys can see me and hear me and all the good things. Welcome in if you can hear me. If not, hopefully it'll clear up in a moment. Welcome into the mod team. Thank you, Forrest. Thank you, Rachel. Butterfly is here, but I know she has to run out. Good luck, Butterfly. Sandy, welcome in. I went and read your comment. Hello, neighbor. Welcome in. Welcome in. We hope you like us enough to stick around. Kristen, you're new as well. Well, thank you guys for coming in and joining us, and I hope you like what you see and want to stick around with us. We are all about community over here. All right, guys, so we're going to dive in today. Okay, cool. Y'all can hear me. We're going to jump in today to the two latest documents that come down in the Richard Allen's appeals case for the Delphi murder trials. Interesting documents, and that's kind of just getting going with those guys because they have been waiting on state of Indiana to give them what they need, which we all have been. So anyway, it's finally happening, it feels like. So we're going to dive into those documents and read through them. There's two documents. They're not real lengthy, either one of them, but we're going to jump in and take a look and follow the appeals process. And we're also going to take a look into Stefan Stern's Cellebrite extraction data report. It's not often we get our hands on a Cellebrite report, and boy, it's not just that it's Stefan Stern's, it's a Cellebrite report, right? So I'm into that. And now, after reading that Cellebrite report, I'm not even all the way through it, it's 600 some pages. I really, really, really want Brian Kohberger's Cellebrite extraction data report now from the Bernhardts. I know they've shared it with Olivia Gonzalez. Can you send it over here to saltysleuth@gmail.com? Would love to have a copy. Anyway, full transparency. I ain't trying to do anything in secret. We just want to know. I want to know. Speaking of, I think Kohberger's gone bananas. Or he's bananas about his bananas. We'll see. Could you complain anymore? Actually, he'll continue that. I know there's a lot of chatters like, can you believe this guy? What did y'all expect? Something different? Because nothing Brian Kohberger's doing right now is a surprise to me, right? It's not. What else has he got to do besides complain about his damn bananas and write up some little motions from the law library? Got to keep his brain sharp and all that. So he's just trying to find stuff to do. And don't forget, as a criminology major, he studied all about those prisons and prison life, prison conduct, prisoners in general. The dude knows what he's doing. So can we stop pretending that he doesn't now? Thank you. It's like we are not giving them enough credit sometimes, and then we give them way too much credit. Do I have Stefan Stearns communicating with his parents? Yeah, we have all that. I've had all that for a long time. We've done read through a lot of that. I've got several PDFs saved. The 800 and something, the 500 and something, the 200 and something, goes on and on and on. But yes, and I do need to clean my playlist up, especially for Stearns, because we did go over a lot of that stuff already. I expected it too, Rach. I don't know why it's a shocker, to people. Like I'm outraged. Coburger's mad about bananas. I kind of expect it, so it's not an outrage to me. It's just another laughable moment. Sometimes this stuff gets taken way too seriously, and the stuff that needs to be taken incredibly seriously is blown off as nothing. We'd rather talk about the unimportant stuff. Oh, okay. That's boring. Boring, boring, boring. And I don't know how many of you caught Kresha's live the other night. She invited me on panel with her, and I went over and had a great conversation with her. And I appreciate everybody over there taking the time to come in and listen to us, and just bringing awareness to what's going on out there in some of these cases with the I'm not even going to say media anymore. It's just, let's just call it what it really, really is: messy people. If you're a messy person in general, you're going to be a messy person in your private life, and you're not going to be a super cautious person in the journalistic world. You're going to be just as messy there as you are in your personal private life. And the minute I start seeing drama in your personal and private life come all over the internet, I am done with you. I really don't have You weren't getting me there anyway as far as critical thinking. I got a brain and I can read a court document and see a problem when one's there. I don't really need you to point it out, but I'm here for the conversation if we're having those conversations. But it's switched to be about, I don't even know. So I don't pay attention. I don't see, I think people really have him confused, Forrest. It's so easy to say jealousy, attention. Well, it goes much deeper than that. But people have brains, and there's psychological things that go on, right? And we're missing the mark on Koberger, guys. I'm telling you, I'm not a psychologist. I don't claim to be one. There's one out there running around today all over the YouTubes. I swear she must think she's got a big old PhD degree hanging up behind her head that says psychologist on it. Ma'am, I don't think you're anywhere near psychology, so quit it. Yeah, I don't know. We're missing the mark on that dude, Koberger, our little hybrid killer in the making. I'm glad you're covering the Delphi case. Yeah, and that's the thing, Marissa. Welcome in, by the way. I've not noticed you here before. If you have been here and I've missed you, I apologize. Welcome in. There's the thing about the Delphi case, right? Here on this channel, I will talk about what's in these court documents. I won't talk about other creators and whatever all that other stuff is, because I don't know nothing about it. But you're right. Covering the case is important, because if we cover the drama surrounding the people that cover the case, we lose the case. We lose sight of the case, and then we don't have enough people willing to listen to us about the case, because all they see is messy. So I've chose to stay away from all of that over here and just try to stick to what comes out in the documents, right? And you can go all the way back to the before the trial and unpack those documents to get to where we are. So we are going to take a look at those documents because they're super important. For anybody to think, whoever If you come into this live stream and you think, oh God, it's a free Ricky thing or whatever, no, you'll never ever see me hashtag free Karen Reed. I never did it one time. I don't need to. I had never hashtagged free Ricky. I'm hashtag American justice system. That's what I want to hashtag. So we're going to take a look, and because Rick Allen was done wrong a lot of ways throughout that trial, in our opinions, those of us who watched the court proceedings and watched what the judge was doing and not doing, not based on what some stuff I saw on the internet and on a cute little live stream. This was real stuff happening. Motion to correct errors was filed, and the judge is like, huh, I'm not correcting anything. Frank's motion, I'm not reading that mess. Now, people have been unhappy with Judge Hippler's facial expressions, but by God, at least he read Ann Taylor's Frank's memo and motion. At least he was willing to grant her a hearing if she'd have brought him a valid legal argument, which she failed to do. And I think that a lot of times the legal aspects of these cases get so lost, and they matter going forward in every criminal case we come across. Now, Rick Allen wasn't the only one done wrong if he's really not the guy. The victims in the case were done wrong. Because without a victim, we wouldn't have a defendant. We wouldn't have a case to talk about and evaluate. We always want it done right. These victims deserve it done right from the beginning, from the minute a person steps on the crime scene. Whoa, freeze. Even us armchairs know to do that, right? Freeze. Don't nobody make a freaking move. Crime scene tape everywhere. Get me all the forensics down here, all the things. Oh, and by the way, the sticks on top of the bodies, just toss aside. We'll come back and get them in a few weeks in case they're important. Well, I remember that one guy, Elvis Fields, mentioning something about spitting at the crime scene. Maybe it landed on a stick. And we lost that DNA because the sticks got tossed to the wayside and collected later when somebody scratched their head and go, you know, those sticks might be important. Well, hell yeah, they might have been. Jesus Christ. Is that even a question? Oh, some of us armchairs are detectives, better reporters, better everything than these actuals are. All right. Before we jump headfirst to a document with that, because we're going to take our time and read through it, that Cellebrite report, we're going to get to that later because, boy, oh boy, Stefan Stearns, you freak of nature. And that woman, I can't. I'm sorry. I tried to be nice. I cannot call that a woman. That girl, Jennifer Soto. If you can't sit here and tell me you didn't know what was in that man's phone. I see where you ordered your doll from, dude. I do wonder if that's the same doll his mom found because it was delivered to her address. I'm pretty sure that was the torso doll. We'll get to it. And ladies, if you got a man living in your home, I'm not one to say pick up the phone and go through it because I honestly believe with all my heart and soul, if I got to pick up your phone and spy on you, I honestly don't need you in my life. But if he's giving you a weird vibe and you're like, there's something, there's my gut saying something ain't right, he may not be cheating on you with another woman from down at the store. He might be buying part dolls and looking at really weird shit on the internet. Is that the kind of guy you want to bed up with every night? Ew. I'm just saying, y'all take note and pay attention. We got a guy right now runned off in the woods with a gun. And his family's finding out, oh, it's because you had all this nefarious stuff on your computer about children and you actually work with children. How long did his wife live with him and not ever once get a suspicion? If I can be that easily duped by a man, I, maybe that's why I'm single, because I don't trust their asses. You lying heifers. I'm not. No, no offense, all you men. There's some women out there that tells them lies too. All right, so let's take a look at something super quick. If I can get it to play, if not, whatever. We'll just talk about it. Um, and it's nothing important. It's silly and stupid, but we're gonna make fun of it because I just love to make fun of defendant. Here's the thing about me: if y'all know me, you know me. If you don't, you're gonna find out. Snark. Well, I'm always looking for my lost shaker of salt. I gotta pour it somewhere. But I'd rather tear down a defendant than a person on the internet any day of the week. It don't take much to draw on some fucking eyebrows. I mean, let's get real. That's art class. My 2-year-old could do it. I don't even have a 2-year-old. Speaking of, y'all know what today is? I'm like all over the place. Today's my baby's birthday. My baby. Feels weird to even say that. He turned 19 years old today, guys. That's crazy for me, considering how old I was when I had him. I feel like I've accomplished what I didn't think I could accomplish when he was born. I was like, whew, I did make it through all that. And I didn't fall out into the walker or the wheelchair situation. I had my kid at 40. So, in case y'all are wondering, I did. I had to start all over again with a brand new baby. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. He's my heart and soul. Sandy, I have a two in their mid 30s. Yeah, two in their mid 30s, and my little 19-year-old. He just my little baby out of the blue. He come out of nowhere, but I'm so glad that he did. I was going to go live last night and discuss some of these documents, but he ended up calling, and we made a little last minute get together plan. So we went and had dinner or whatever. But anyway. All right, so let's look at this. Now, I did watch, I don't know how many of you guys remember back when Koberger complained last time. Chris McDonough has got like a source. Where we go with them sources again. He's got a source over there in Idaho that's been giving him information. And so far it's tracked, it's been accurate. I wouldn't bring, because I track that stuff. I'm watching, I'm like, I'm not the one to believe whatever I'm told. If I try to show y'all receipts and where I went and got that information from, right? So anyway, he had put out some stuff about the prior complaints Koberger had, and then when the actual complaints came out, they were actually what Chris had reported. So that can only go by that. So he's apparently the one reporting that Koberger's now upset about his bananas. So I watched the live stream I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched a part of Madonna's stream about it. That I guess he went on Ashley Banfield and talked about it. Now, remember how the last time he complained, we got copies of the reports, right? Where he complained about everything. We haven't seen that this time. So apparently he's still upset with event people. And now his bananas are not right. I felt good at 40 years old and pregnant. People are like, "You're guys," I'm like I felt great. It was like pregnancy, and it just felt like normal. It was great. I didn't have any issues, except for it was summertime and I was hot. didn't care for that part. Okay, let me get this up there. Do we share? Yeah. All right. So he went over on Banfield, and they talk about it for a minute, and then we'll move on to our top story. But y'all know I got me some Koberger snark in there. I can't help it. And if think the guy's innocent, that do you. I'm good with that. But he said he did it, and he wasn't up on Halidol when he did it. So I'm gonna take his word for it on this one.
Time now for another edition of Things Brian Koberger doesn't like about prison. It's a long list, so get comfy. And I, for one, am delighted by it.
Hey, Tracy, welcome in.
I cannot get enough of the petty gripes that this bloodthirsty killer has ever since his ass was handed to him. And especially since he narrowly avoided a firing
I love me a cussing Ashley. I don't know why, I just do.
Squad. Koberger has been at Idaho's toughest prison since July, as you know. And by August, he was already filing formal complaints about the food, like the quality of it, the quantity of it, and of course his fellow inmates who Koberger says are mean to him. Wah.
Y'all think that one girl can talk him into sliding her some stuff through the vent? Like, y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all know, you know. The vent people can also get knocked up through the vents. We just did a story on that recently. So Koberger's not the only one experiencing the vent people. Apparently, the vent people is a whole ass thing in common in all the prisons. Could you imagine being in your cell and you start to hear voices and you got to ask yourself, oh my God, am I losing my mind in this prison?
But now, almost 5 months into his lifelong sentence, he's had time to get used to the place, and yet the complaints keep coming. This time, he's got a problem with, wait for it, it's the color of the marker, bananas. Brian Koberger says prison bananas are not up to his standards. Of course, he is far from the only inmate, infamous or otherwise, to complain about the prison food. The Unabomber himself, Ted Kaczynski, once complained to food services at the Supermax that his hamburger was undercooked.
Oh, I'd complain too.
Chris
now.
McDonough is a retired homicide detective and director.
Hold on. Eat around the uncooked part. You're in prison. Don't give me no half-cooked hamburger. Vents and toilets are the jail telephones. Can you hear me, Forrest?
Of the Cold Case Foundation, and he's got his ear to the wall of Koberger's prison. And he joins me now with everything that he's been hearing. I suppose I shouldn't say I can't believe this, because I can't believe that human walked the earth with us. What was wrong with the bananas, did he say?
Can't believe that human walked the earth with us. Ma'am, yeah, I know. And the problem is, there's more just like him right now walking around. Isn't that crazy? That hybrid killer we're all just chalking up as to some crazy guy. I'm telling y'all, next generation of killers.
You know, Ashley, you can't make this stuff up, right? I mean, here this guy commits a quadruple homicide. He gets a 4-term, sentences. And now he's telling the staff that, hey, these aren't the type of bananas that I like. And I don't know if they have bruises on them or what the circumstances are in relation.
I don't know why this makes me laugh so hard that this guy's going, my bananas are bad. And we don't know what's wrong with his bananas. If they're bruised, who the fuck cares? I'll tell him what he can do with his banana, but I think it's comical as hell that this guy's going to sit up here and do this. Can we please get the Cellebrite report? I checked the docket again this morning. We still have a ton of unsealed documents. What do I need to start calling out the state of Idaho for hiding shit? Because it's starting to feel like we're hiding the facts on Brian Koberger. Do we even have any? Is he a figment of our imagination? Stickman. I'm starting to wonder.
Relationship to the bananas, but it's interesting because at this prison they call their inmates residents, but I don't know if he really understands that being a resident where he is at, you don't get to pick and choose what you eat and how you eat it.
Question. He's also complaining about the size and location of his cell. What's he got a problem with now?
Yeah, well, so he's still in the J block over in the exact same cell that he has been since they, put him in solitary confinement. The problem that he's having is the inmates still around him are still, just relentless to this point. And so now he's turned that back to the staff saying, you guys got to get me out of here.
Where are they supposed to take him, I wonder? Where does he think they're going to take him inside that facility where he can no longer hear the vent people? And can I write some of them letters? I've got ideas on what you can say to Koberger. Would that be weird if I did that? We've got people calling everybody out. Everybody's writing to this person and writing to that person and putting money on the books. Like, do y'all know that didn't just start today, right? That didn't just start this year. That's not a new trend. It's literally been a thing. How do y'all think Barbara Walters got all them interviews? How do you think Nate Eaton gets them? How do y'all think it happens? We are now we're having those conversations, but whatever. You go vent, people.
Yeah. How's the staff responding to this guy?
Well, they realize, they can't put him into general population. So it's kind of a catch-22 right now, because if they put him into general pop, he could be a potential target for other inmates based on the fact that the behavior that they're experiencing right now. So they have to keep him exactly where he's at. And, until they figure out exactly, where they can put him. But I think that's a manipulation tactic on Koberger's part as well, to try to get out of there.
A manipulation tactic on Koberger's part. I don't think he can manipulate the jail, the prison. It's a manipulation tactic. No, it's like, let me see if this motion will work. I need to go back to the law library. I miss this. I miss all them days but at that round table with Ann talking about strategy. Because of my mama, I didn't get the chance to go to court and say all that stuff I wanted to say. I don't know. I'm making all that up. Does my 19-year-old son live with me? He technically lives at his dad's because his dad lives really close to his school. I don't. And so he's still in school full time and he works full time. So he's between both of our houses. We have 50-50 this kid since we separated many years ago. I'm one of those lucky people that don't have a court involved in her life. You know what I'm saying? It's just me and the kiddo and his daddy, and we just do what's right for the kiddo. But yeah, he don't live too far from me though. I mean, we're in the same town. It's just across town, way across. But he wrote this chapter in his life, so suck it up, Teresia says. Exactly. I mean, he knows how prison works. He understands the political things in the prison system. We saw the books in his apartment when they went in to search the place. We saw the titles of the books. I remember them. And I've always known that studying criminology, you're going to study the prison system. Why do y'all think Ann Taylor was going to bring up all his childhood at mitigation? Because the prison system is overcrowded with mentally ill people who don't deserve to be there. They deserve something different, like Morgan Geyser got. Okay, they deserve to go to the mental hospital instead. And then we got to trust that they're better and let them out. Well, I got a problem with state-run mental facility hospitals. We got a kid right now, and when I call him a kid, he is an adult. Every 6 months, the victim's family has to go right back in there and hear, is he still crazy? Can we let him go to real prison today? It's a whole thing. I think Koberger's got many. I feel like Brian Koberger is going to try to win over some of his fellow inmates. And the only way he can do it is to help them write motions for their appeals. I'm just going to call it. I've said it from day one. He's fixing to be a jailhouse lawyer one way or the other. He's got to figure out a way to make those people not be so mean to him if he wants to survive in there. So he won't be the only jailhouse lawyer in there. There's many. That's kind of like what they do. Shit, you can go to prison and earn your high school diploma. You can earn your college degree. You can earn your law degree. They may have better opportunities behind those walls than I got sitting right here at this desk right at the moment. Y'all don't know that. We don't know that. And there's a lot of talk out there still about, his making money and books and all that. Y'all, the book is coming. written by Dr. Catherine Ramsland. The wheels were set in motion a year ago. Listen to the woman talk herself, and she clarifies it. So that book's coming. And I know people feel people want to feel a kind of way about it. We don't need these books for people trying to make $1 off a Koberger and all this shit. It's important work. Because I already am watching one doctor miss the mark on Koberger, and I'm waiting to see if Ramsland gets it right, and I'm waiting to learn from her, if I can. Because for people to think it's not important to study these killers, that they're not worth it, they personally are not, right? They're not. But society is. We had a whole entire college department trained who missed every single red flag that Koberger waved in their face. Every single one. And the ones that they did recognize, they wanted to shh. I got a problem with that, because 4 young people lost their lives, and it maybe could have been preventable. If they had listened to their own studies. And then they should be asking themselves, what was it about him that we missed? And how do we not do that going forward? Be transparent like that versus, oh, well, it was just a few complaints, nothing to see here. If you find this car, don't approach it, let it go. What? I still can't let that go. While everybody's out there discussing weird shit about this case, I'm still honed in on what the hell was you doing, WSU? Because that's what really matters. Not how many body cams you can release of the friends of the victims. Where's Koberger's body cam shit? It don't make sense, does it, guys? All right, let me pull up Rick Allen's motions here, because he deserves the time that we don't need to be given to Koberger anymore. There won't be no appeal coming down for you, Koberger. Or technically there still could, but whatever. I wouldn't put them to do it or attempt it. Let me just say that right now. If it starts to happen in the Koberger case and the appeal starts to come for some whatever technicality reason, I won't be surprised. I decided that a month ago when I read something. I was like, people aren't ready to hear this conversation, so I'll just table it for now. Where did my... Oh, if I would type in there, it might work for me. Okay. Here we go. My appeals folder. Okay. This is true. So true. Okay, here we go. Now I've got the right one. Okay, motion to file, or motion for final extension. We're going to read through that one first, and then we're going to read the second one. I think people are going to be... well, I'm not surprised, but I think people will be surprised if Ramsland does the book the way I think she'll do it, and the way she'll dive into him and his parents. A lot of that Anne was going to use in her mitigation phase. She made that very clear. I think that they need to study certain aspects of what makes them tick. It's important. Shit, Ramsland got... we had to hear the prosecution come out and say, well, if we had forced Koberger to say anything or made it a provision that he's got to tell us this and that, he could have just lied. And I'm thinking to myself, who told you that? I heard you say FBI told you that, but the behavioral analysis unit might have a different thought process on that. Have you watched BTK talk matter of factly about everything he did without emotion and honest about it? Was no lies. Was he truthful about everything? No, he didn't tell us everything, but everything he did tell us was the absolute truth. And they're not, killers like to talk about themselves. And part of them, like I always felt like part of Koberger, I felt like part of what led him to some of his studies was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Those became apparent in his Reddit post at 15 years old, trying to figure out what's wrong with me. Maybe Catherine will help him understand. We'll see. All right, so this is Rick Allen's. How do I make it bigger so I can see it? Okay. Now he has his appellate process has began. They had already filed for things, and man, it took Indiana a long time to get those transcripts from the trial ready. It took a lot of effort on the public's part to keep pressure on them, and then it took the appellate attorneys also applying pressure. Like, look, we can't even get the trial exhibits. What's going on here? So that's red flags all the way across. We didn't get a camera in the courtroom. We had some decent people, good people, not excluding that one. We had good people there trying to get the best notes they could possibly get and bring us the information at the end of the day. A lot of long nights for those who cared, that wanted to hear what was happening in that courtroom. You had to stay. You could go catch that 5 or 10 minutes on the local news feeds or the mainstream media, whatever, and then you can maybe go into one of their local channels and do a 30-minute dive and whatever. But are we getting biased or unbiased stuff? So it's a lot to unpack with these damn cases and figure out where to go get your information. But the appellate process has finally begun. They're getting things they need, and now they're asking for an extension for some time here. So motion for final extension of time in which to file the appellate's brief. The appellant, Richard Allen, by counsel Mark Lehman and Stacy Ulania, or Ulana, I'm not going to pronounce that right, Ulana, respectfully request this court for permission for a final extension of time in which to file the appellate's brief. In support of the motion, Allen states the following. On November 11, 2024, following a 25-day trial, a jury found Allen guilty on 2 counts of murder. A sentencing hearing on December 20th, 2024, the court sentenced Allen to a term of 130 years. On January 20th, 2025, a motion to correct errors was filed. On February 4th of 2025, an order denying the motion to correct errors was filed. Now, I'm no attorney, but that don't make any sense to me. You'd think for appellate reasons, if you're a sitting judge on a criminal case, for the appellate reason, you'd want to do certain things a certain way. But she's like, oh, you want a motion to correct errors? Nah, there's no errors here. Was that the final motion determination? Notice of appeal was filed March 11th. A notice of completion of clerk's record was filed on the 14th. Following 2 extensions of time, a notice of completion of transcripts was filed June 7th, 2025. On October 22nd of 2025, this court ordered the court report to file supplemental exhibit volumes, including the exhibits that were attached to Allen's motion for Frank's hearing and motion to correct errors. The court ordered Allen's appellate brief due 30 days after the clerk filed an amended notice of completion of the supplemental transcript. Now, you'd think all that'd be ready to go, just sitting on go back there, used it in trial and all. Just give it to them. Well, Jody she's got too much work. Oh, like Ann Taylor, too many terabytes. Maybe we should really think about getting a lot of legal help into these offices across the board. I can't talk today, guys. Sorry, my voice is going away. Florida's weather's been a little, she bipolar this time of year, so we just have to roll with it. It makes me a little head coldish, and I don't know what the hell to do. Counselor for Allen is asking for a final extension of 7 days to complete and file the appellate's brief. Despite the exercise of due diligence, undersigned counsel will be unable to complete the appellate's brief by the deadline for the following reasons. Counsel is still in the process of incorporating the evidence from the supplemental transcript filed November 10th into the appellate's brief. Now, that wasn't that long ago, guys. The supplemental transcript was the size of a standard murder trial transcript, including 5 volumes, exceeding 1,200 pages there, and 7 depositions. In addition, there are many electronic exhibits, including 8 recorded witnesses' interviews, lasting about 10 hours. I'm sure none of them were the alt suspects because they got gone. In addition, counsel Ms. Eulania was unable to help with the review of the exhibits and appeal due to her obligation as lead counsel on a life without parole jury trial that began on the 10th of November. And they cite that case, State versus Jones. I don't know anything about that case, but apparently she's got a second case, a life without a parole case, and that was the date of that trial starting. So she's been a little busy. This case involved an 18-year-old with intellectual disability, oh goodness, who killed a police officer during a high-speed chase. Coordinating experts and out-of-town witnesses in preparing the case took nearly all of counsel's time from October 27th through the 14th, when it concluded with a plea agreement on the 5th day of trial. Okay, well, that's been worked out. Okay. Both counsel have been working diligently on this appeal with 10 to 12-hour days, but it is so complex and voluminous that an adequate brief cannot reasonably be prepared by the date the brief is due. The transcript is over 5,076 words, 22 volumes, including the new supplemental transcript, and the documentary exhibits are almost just as long as a 25-day trial with over 4,782 words. Counsel has simultaneously filed for permission to file an oversized brief, explaining that identify at least 10 issues, 9 of which involve Allen's constitutional rights. That's the takeaway right there. Because regardless of where you sit with guilt or innocence, we cannot have that in our justice system, because it will transcend, it will fall into the other cases as well. If it's acceptable in this one case, then hush hush, it'll be acceptable in these others, especially in states that like to dance in the dark. Indiana and Kentucky, you're being called straight out. You love to dance in the dark, and we don't get why. Vampires or something? I am such a sunshine person. Give me walk in the daylight, do it like Florida, or don't do it at all. I'm talking about the sunshine laws. It's so weird. So if his rights were violated in any way, they need to bring that to the fore. And you know what was the biggest violation that happened from the day one, damn near? The fact that he was arrested in October of 2022 and Koberger was arrested a month later. 1 month apart, these guys were arrested. One goes to prison pre-trial. One goes to the basement to a county jail pre-trial. One gets to wear dirty ass prison garb, chained with shackles, coming to court looking like, what the fuck? You got one over here coming to court in a suit and tie, and his shackles aren't, or his belt like Lori's is not visible. And you got, all of a sudden, that one in the suit becomes the high profile case of the century. And when people on social media couldn't no more, I'm talking 2 years ago, when they couldn't really continue to propel that he's innocent based on evidence because we didn't see no evidence, everything was fucking sealed, then it became, oh, it's about his rights. And I'm like, what? What rights have been violated? Because I don't see any. There was somebody who screamed loudly, and I couldn't get one damn person outside the Delphi community to listen to me talk about Rick Allen being tossed into a prison. And that baffled me, especially when you're telling me you're here for Koberger for constitutional reasons. Well, okay. Well, if I'm going to go all in on the Constitution, I want it for everybody across the board, not one guy. So they have found 10 issues, 9 of which involve constitutional rights. Council needs an additional 7 days to ensure they adequately identify and briefed these issues. The failure to do so would violate Allen's right to effective assistance of counsel and become an issue in later proceedings. I agree with that. And I get it. We made fun of Ann Taylor for crying about her, volumes and volumes and terabytes and terabytes. We're like, damn, but she had a long time to get ready. Long time. She made sure of it. In fact, she wanted to continue to push that trial back. 10 years would have been good for Ann Taylor. But they got a lot to go through, and I want them to go through it with accuracy. And if there's anything there, bring it, and then let the Supreme Court make a decision. And I pray, because since we respectfully pray to the courts these days, let's pray that the Indiana Supreme Court is on the up and up. They appeared to be when they made Gull reinstate Allen's original defense attorneys. So let's hope for the best. Counsel respectfully submits that 11 days will be sufficient. I don't know much about the Indiana Supreme Court, guys, like their how they vote and what their record is. So Allen is currently detained out of state through the Indiana Department of Corrections. True, he was moved to Colorado 2 months ago. All right, so the appellate respectfully requests this court to grant the verified motion or the verified petition for extension of time. And I don't think a decision's been made on that yet, but I don't see them not granting them the time because they've been playing ball with them so far. And they are fully aware that they're not getting their document, which should be a problem. Like, why did it take Indiana so? And then Indiana wanted to say, well, it's going to cost you $4,000. So the internet said, hold my beer. And criminality in the gang and the rest of the cranks all got together and crowdfunded the $4,000. And then she's like, oh, never mind. I'm going to give it to y'all anyway. Like, what, bitch? What in the actual hell? Yeah, Forrest, if I'm not mistaken, it's Oklahoma. I got him on my Vine link. Yeah, it's Oklahoma. I got the notification when he got moved. And the last I checked, he was still there, which puts him so far away from his appellate attorneys, kind of like when they put him in the prison and then they moved him to another prison further away, which made it even harder for his defense attorneys to get to him. Crazy. Now, a lot of times a prisoner can get moved to an out-of-state facility, but usually it's for very distinct reasons, like protection of the prisoner, get them closer to their family. Their mother could be an ailing old lady and whatever, there's many reasons why they would move a person out of state. What we don't know, and people across the board that I've seen talking about it, the ones that I care to pay attention to talk about it, no one really knows why he got moved, right? If it was on his own accord requesting it, or if it was just something the state of Indiana did. But you would think with an appeals case happening, Indiana would be walking that line right now, right? Or are they like Kentucky? They're like, whatever, y'all, go away. We'll kick you out like the FBI. Can't sit here. Bullshit. All right, let me pull up the next document and we'll start reading through it. Ooh, why is mine? I wonder if... Okay. Now this one, I need to make a fresh cup of tea. I just remembered I made a pot of coffee right before we went live. I ate, and I was like, oh, it could be morning nap time, but no. Right, Rachel, he needs to be able to communicate with his lawyers freely. And we heard Libredo, William Libredo was the officer, the attorney that Judge Gull, like, here, you go represent Alan, okay? I'm going to take these other attorneys off. I don't like them today. He came on to the case, and then he came out and did a big interview with Court TV, stating how hard it was for them to get in there and visit with Richard Allen, and that he was in the kitchen type area, and there was a cage in the middle of the kitchen, and he basically had to sit in that cage, and it was hard to even show him documents and to look at the tablet, to look at things, you know what I mean? It was, and there were reports in documents that the corrections officers were videotaping this stuff, not audio, but they're not supposed to videotape counsel with the prisoners. That's off limits. This will be my second pot of coffee, Rachel. Y'all know me. I got a Coke open and I'm like, where's my coffee? I heard the coffee pot make a little noise and I looked over. I was like, yeah, coffee. All right, y'all give me a second. I'm going to go make a cup of coffee. Like, it's just across the room. I'll be right back. Am I back? Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. Okay, you can see me. I don't know why my avatar screen's not showing up there, but I'll see if the actual screen does when I screen share. I went to get coffee. My coffee cup wasn't in here. It was in the darn kitchen. Then I sat back down, and the internet was like, "No, we're going wonky." I'm like, "Damn it, man!" Let me see if it'll screen share. Okay. I don't know what's going on with everything else, but we'll roll with this. Give it a sec. I'm looking at you guys on my phone, and you don't see what I see yet. Unless something's not synced up. So I'll give that a second. Welcome in, everybody who is just joining us. Asha, welcome in. Welcome in. Hawkeyes, welcome in. And Anna, thank you. Thanks, guys. Y'all bear with me through this technical difficulty stuff. This house I moved to is a little older. There's never had Wi-Fi or internet or anything, cable, I don't know, into this house. They were supposed to come hook it up. And so I've been running with a hotspot from my phone. Most of the time it works pretty good. So we are going over the appellate briefs or appellate filings into the Richard Allen Delphi case. That's been happening. So these documents have come down. So I wanted to keep up with them and share them while they were new. Because I had said after the trial was over that I would continue to follow the case through the appellate process. So that's what we're doing. So thank you guys for coming in and joining us. And I believe in innocent until proven guilty, and I completely understand that I've always leaned Koberger was the guilty guy, but I always gave him the benefit of the doubt until he said I did it. We're not going to trial. Over here, I don't know what happened in the woods that day, and I don't make an assumption to say anything other than I can't say Rick Allen's the guy based on facts I saw and that I evaluated, and there were like-minded people who did agree with me and the people who didn't, or people that I agreed with, I should say, and people that I didn't, right? Navigating where I would go find information about this case got real difficult for a while. I bailed completely out of Delphi for months at one point and just privately kept up with a few things. I had to turn off all the noise. And I felt some kind of way when I heard that verdict, I just have to say, because I didn't get to see the trial with my own eyes. I was then forced to let another group of people make a decision for me based on things I couldn't see. And I don't care for that. None of us should. So here we are. Belated motion for permission to file oversized appellate's brief. The appellant, Richard Allen, by counsel Mark Lehman and Stacey Delaney, present, I'll probably say her name 10 different ways before I figure out how to say it. Pursuant to Appellate Rule 44B, respectfully request this court for permission to file an oversized brief in support of the motion. And here's Allen states for the following. And this is going to pretty much cover what was said in that last motion. November 11th, following the 25-day trial, he was found guilty, sentencing this on the 20th, sentenced to 130 years. The error to correct was filed on the 20th, denial on the 14th of February, and the notice of appeal on March 11th. And then after extensions of time and remand to supplement the record with it missing exhibits, the appellate's brief is due December 10th. Today's the 4th. So missing exhibits, not So many exhibits we can't look at them all, but they were missing. An appellate's brief cannot exceed 14,000 words. Allen respectfully requests permission to file an appellate's brief that does exceed 14,000 words. Allen requests at least an additional 10,000 words for the following reasons. The transcript is over 5,076 words in 22 volumes. The documentary exhibits are almost just as long as the 25-day trial, with over 4,782 words and 20 volumes. There are 210 electronic exhibits or media files. They make it sound that alone would make you believe they had so much evidence on Rick Allen, when in reality they didn't. Reality, I mean, if you look at what they actually had and evaluate that, and you take that same thought process to all the other cases you look at and treat them all equally. Now, I know that's hard for a lot of people to do, not y'all. I find that odd behavior, but I do that for all the cases, you know? I don't care what I personally feel. I mean, if Ann Taylor had brought down documents like this, I can be your defense attorney today, or I can be your prosecutor. It just depends on the case and what we're doing here, how I feel about it. I don't want to ever want to be, I'm all defense and all prosecution. No, I got to be whatever makes a damn sense. So there are 210 electronic exhibits or media files. To properly summarize the evidence requires a lengthy statement of case and statement of facts. Counsel has identified at least 10 possible issues, 9 of which involve federal and Indiana constitutional claims. These claims are broken into 5 categories. 1. The right to present a defense, including alternative explanations of the scene, and other suspects, and impeachment of the quality of the investigation. Brilliant. And I don't say that lightly. A lot of missteps with that crime scene. Okay, impeachment of the quality of the investigation. Bring it. Because that's almost as laughable as a Red Solo Cup, I fill you up. But this is a little deeper. I guess at least they tried over there in Canton. Oh boy. And his defense didn't get the right to include alternative explanations of the crime scene. Now think about that for a moment. If you know about the crime scene, what explanation could you have for 2 little girls in the woods covered up with some sticks and leaves, other than they're being concealed? That's what the sticks and leaves, we were told by the prosecution's theory. They're changing and evolving in their first theory. But their ended up concluding theory was the sticks and leaves were just placed there in an effort to conceal the bodies. I suppose that was after their full-on Odinist ritual investigation concluded. They ended up saying, oh, they were literally just there to cover them up, nothing more. We investigated that part. Funny thing is, I wonder what made you investigate that part to start with. That's my burning question. And I think that would have been the question I asked at CrimeCon versus why'd you throw a man in prison? Did you really expect an answer to that age-old question? You act like it was a brand new fucking question that no one ever thought about asking on Nick McClellan. I would have asked a better question. And my question would have been, what about that crime scene from day one made you consider that it was a ritual killing? Hmm. It makes me want to send out some emails and ask, like, what the fuck? Because I don't, they haven't answered that. I know Brad Holder's Facebook post. No. It goes back to the minute that crime scene was looked at. Council has identified at least 10 possible issues. Okay, we just did that. Okay, back up, girl. Number 2, the right to present a defense undermining the reliability of Allen's incriminating statements. So they weren't given the right to present a defense undermining the reliability of those incriminating statements. In other words, the defense wasn't allowed to talk about why he might have made those incriminating statements, i.e., 65 maybe confessions. There were circumstances behind those confessions that should have been evaluated and listened to, like the prison guard that's in the documents. Yeah, I don't know, Anna, about where like the leaves were placed and things. I know the stick placement and that. I've seen the real crime scene photos. I mean, I I know. I know what I mean, we now know what that crime scene looked like, but I'm wondering what the investigators, something about it, if you know nothing about this type of stuff and you're just a cop, tiny town America, and you walk in there and you see that, what about that made you even consider it could be a ritualistic killing? And then something directed you straight to the 2 people you went and interviewed about it. Anyway. And then one happened to turn out to be, oh, good Lord, I could go, I will go send myself down a rabbit hole and we'll be here all day. Well, not a rabbit hole. We'll just have to go out and spew the truth, won't we, Anna? Here comes the truth. You'll only hear it here. Sorry, that was me clowning on creators. The constitutionality of those statements made while Allen was gravely disability and prolonged pretrial solitary confinement. Now, for those who don't know, Rick Allen was held in solitary confinement damn near the entire time he was in those prisons, which well beyond exceeded the guidelines, right? There are guidelines to how long you can be in solitary confinement. They threw all those out the window in order for safekeeping of Rick Allen. We're still unclear about who he was being kept safe from, because there's tons of would-be child killers in prison. Tons of them. Have you looked? So what about him made him so, y'all were so protective of that guy, right? You had to keep him alive at all costs. The constitutionality of the search of Allen's home. All I really remember about the search of Allen's home is that conversation Holman claimed he had in the car with Rick Allen. That bullshit conversation he wants me to believe was meant. He wants me to believe that Allen meant it a certain way when it was obvious what Allen meant to a person with a half a brain that can follow a conversation. Oh, goodness. And I don't need no body language expert or word expert to break it down for me, because many of these issues involve, I think I could do a better job, honestly. Maybe that's why I'm so critical. Maybe I should start my own second channel. Salty's breakdown of the body language. What does it all really fucking mean? because many of these issues involve analysis of evidence. Would y'all watch? Stay on track, girl. That was proffered but excluded from trial, because many of these issues involve analysis of evidence that was proffered, okay, but then excluded from trial. And that's true. The record is much larger than just the evidence the jury was allowed to hear. That, good Lord, how many of us know that's true? Because too many of us know far more than that jury knew or was supposed to know, right? And why lie about a case? And well, there are people out here. There are just those people. Anything to get on that jury once offered the opportunity. But we can't police that one person out of whatever. So they're not supposed to know anything, and they're supposed to tell if they do or if they don't. Sometimes it matters and sometimes it doesn't. But we know that jury didn't hear a lot of evidence in this case that just didn't make sense as to why. It went way further than, like, because people are going to draw that comparison, so I'm going to continue to do it. Ann Taylor said the only thing behind her Frank's motion was a blood stain somewhere in that house. Oh, and the people y'all interviewed took DNA from and did phone data downloads. All of the, you mean all the actual stuff they have on those alt suspects and how they cleared them, which we don't have in Delphi, right? Yeah. Because those interviews with those said people were recorded over. Their little system didn't work right. And so the alternate suspects did interviews first week, and conveniently they were recorded over and lost forever. That's not acceptable. However, the Indiana Supreme Court has held, if an issue, could y'all imagine if Dylan Morton's interviews were all recorded over accidentally or lost, how much of a time Ann Taylor would have had with that? And I'd have been like, I can't blame her. You go, lady. Here, shit, sign me up, because y'all done it now. That's how we should look at that. The Indiana Supreme Court has held, if an issue was known and available on direct appeal but not raised, it is procedurally defaulted as a basis for relief in subsequent proceedings. And they cite a case about that. There's an extraordinary number of constitutional and evidentiary issues raised by both sides in this case. To adequately litigate the issues counsel has identified, they must have a word limit that allows them to cogently present the facts and issues. Additionally, any federal constitutional claims upon which Allen would seek relief must be raised in state court, or it will be deemed unexhausted and therefore unreviewable should Allen later need to seek federal review of the case pursuant to 28 U.S.C. all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States. Let's go. One of my favorite times in school was all about studying the Constitution and the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I remember, I think I still have all my papers that I wrote. Because I could just imagine them old dudes sitting around writing that Constitution, hashing it out over some crazy ass cowboy coffee or whiskey and water, taking bites of the apple. I don't know. I just got mad. I had mad respect for them. I'm sorry. I had mad respect for Francis Scott Key. And I could imagine, could you wake up to the bombs were still bursting in the air, but the flag was still there? I'm like, what? Like, as a little kid, that shit mesmerized me for some reason. And we lose sight of that in these cases, that if there's wrongdoings, how many times have we heard about overturned convictions? And the real Innocence Project, not these state-run innocent projects like California's and different whatever, Scott Peterson shit. Real Innocent Project cases that have been overturned. How many times have we seen false confession convictions be overturned? How much have we learned about the Reed technique style of investigative techniques? And how much light's kind of been shined. Hell, Holman shined a whole ass light on that. He took it all the way home. He's like, I'm gonna school everybody in the Reed technique, the Holman way. You know, of course, we should want our justice system to work for the greater good and to work right and to be fair, so that those who are absolutely guilty get what they deserve, and they can't get off on a technicality, right? We can't have it either way. It's crazy. So if they want to play ball, play ball. Additionally, any federal constitutional claims upon which Allen would seek relief must be raised in state court, or it will be deemed unexhausted and therefore unreviewable should Allen later need to seek federal review of his case. Now, to give a good example of this, one night we'll do it as members only. We should compare this to Miss Lori Vallow's appeal in Idaho. Give everybody a little context of what a real appeal might look like. Instead of Lori's what? Lawyer Lori on the case. Exhaustion for purposes of 28 U.S.C. Requires that a claimant make a full and fair presentation of his claims in state court proceedings to give the court an opportunity to resolve federal constitutional claims before those claims are presented to federal courts. Appellate Rule 44E requires a request for an oversized brief to be filed 15 days before the due date of the appellate's brief. Although the appellant's brief is due in 10 days, Allen respectfully requests a variance from the rule. Counsel did not know the number of additional words needed until some sufficient progress had been made on reviewing the supplemental transcript provided weeks ago and incorporated that evidence into their statement, facts, and argument, which makes sense. At least they're not giving me some weird word salad. Although counsel is still in the process of drafting an aforementioned arguments and incorporating exhibits, counsel believes that an additional 10,000 words are needed. The requested 24,000 words is the minimum necessary to provide Allen his constitutional right to effective assistance of counsel in raising the important and constitutional issues in his case. With exhibits, this case is at least 10 times the size of an average murder trial. Where our appellant by counsel respectfully requests this court to permit Allen to file an oversized brief to increase the word limit to at least 24,000 words and for all other relief just and proper in the premises. And that was filed by his attorneys. So they're asking for a little bit more time there. We all just heard that. Hopefully I think it'll be granted. I don't see why it wouldn't, especially considering they know that they just got all these documents. And God, the social media just got all these documents. All Eyes has a fabulous GitHub site set up. She has Google Drives. Sleuthy has Google Drives. Criminality, I think's got Google. I mean, everybody is doing a great job of memorializing these documents, right, in a space to go and find things. And that is where I got these two documents, was from the Google Drive. So I appreciate them and their efforts to help keep us, because that's what it should be about, transparency and sharing of the documents that are out there when they're difficult to get or coming down in large volumes, right? Because they're not going to be like over there in Idaho, here's a couple of websites, we'll drop everything here. Indiana didn't do us that favor. They're like, oh, you want that? Well, spend the rest of your life trying to get it. You gonna make some noise on the internet? Okay, fine, we'll fire back. It's ridiculous. It's like, why are y'all making that a fight when it's constitutionally, literally your job is to be transparent and to share public documents? It makes no damn sense. And when I come from this great state of Florida, where we shine the light on everything, got this massive sunshine law, and we get everything pre-trial. We got everything Casey Anthony. We got everything Stephon Stearns. Jesus. all his emails in the jail, phone calls in the jail, communications with everybody that he communicated with, you know. And now we got a Cellebrite report. Bloomin' ass idiot. And there's interesting dates, and it's interesting just to go through a Cellebrite report to this extent. I remember back a long time ago when I think it was maybe it was right after Koberger pled guilty. I was watching Interview Room interviewed somebody, and I can't remember who it was, and I went to go watch that interview. And wait a minute, now I forgot who it was. That's going to make me forget the whole point. Oh, and that's what it was. So I forgot who I went to go watch the interview with, but Chris had stated during that thing or whatever, he's like, any one of you armchair sleuths get a hold of Koberger's Cellebrite extraction report, hit me up. I was like, dude, nobody's got it yet. It's still part of the sealed documents, so we can only wait. But this one's interesting to go through, and there's interesting points in time if you consider when Maddie goes missing, or when he reports when Maddie's reported missing by her grandmother. And also considering we know factory resetting the phone, right? Keeping all that in mind. Because gosh, I got so many PDFs of all those documents we've went through in this case. It's like 600 plus pages long, I think. I have not even went through this whole thing yet. A lot of it's like technical stuff, but then it shows you everything that it can show you about a phone is what really struck me. We hear about the Cellebrite reports and testimony and trials, right? When they get the Cellebrite people up there and they talk about this and that and different things of that nature. But seeing it and let me see if I can get this to get out of our way here. What's going on? Let me get my screen right first of all, guys. Okay, share screen. Now, I got this from Plunder's Patreon. She had a video on it, but she didn't go in depth enough for me. Not her fault, but I wanted to see it, right? So I went and got the whole report, and I've spent a little bit of time taking a look at it. Okay, is it up on the screen? Yeah. Okay. Rachel, they were able to recover a lot. It was funny. It's not funny because nothing about him's funny. But what is funny is when he resets his phone, he's bringing back a lot of the stuff that he had before, right? That he just didn't realize that he had backed up a lot of what he did on that phone to Google Drive, photos and videos. But he didn't seem to mind getting his apps back and things of that nature. And let me get I need to get my note here because there's a couple of pages and a couple of particular things I had looked at. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen Plunder's latest video on the case about these reports. I think she did a video before this and then did this video about this document, but she has a video out that I haven't watched all of it, and it was about could there be a lawsuit with Walmart for this purchase. And I'm not going to go out on a limb and say anything about Walmart and a lawsuit in the same sentence, because this particular medication, it was brought up before in other documents in this case, because we had a whole discussion about it. And was he possibly used on Maddie, anything like that, drug-wise, used on Maddie to sedate her, kind of thing. And so this medication, you have to have a prescription for it. And it was purchased at Walmart.com. But if you go to Walmart.com and you search it, you don't find it. So was it Walmart.com pharmacy? Because this medication can be used for animals. Remember, Mom ran the breeding of the poodles. But you're supposed to use it in a medical setting, not at home willy-nilly, right? So I don't know how he obtained it, why he obtained it, where he planned to use it. Would they deliver that to somebody like a private citizen versus a medical facility? There's so many questions about that medication that I do not know. But the medicine was called sevoflurane, and it is a, excuse me, my voice is not wanting to stay with me today, a common inhalation anesthetic used to induce and maintain general anesthesia. It has a pleasant odor, a fast onset, and it can be used on pregnant women during a C-section. It's gaining popularity in the use on animals, often prescribed to children, excuse me, to children as well, available by prescription only. But there's information in the Cellebrite report that he did order it through Walmart.com. So I don't know. There's that. Now, I don't know how long this would stay in someone's system, but I'm assuming if you give them enough to unalive them, it's probably going to show up in the toxicology report, right? Or traces of it. There would be some evidence of that. And then you would be charged as well with drugging the person. I mean, but we heard it was strangulation. So I don't know where I sit with this purchase of this sevoflurane. I do believe there was every single possibility that before Maddie was unalived, we know these things were happening to her. And you got to remember, as Maddie got older, and the reports from school that she was sleeping in class, Maddie was tired, Maddie was sad, Maddie was all the things. And all this Ativan that was in this house him and Jen liked to take to get their good night's sleep and all that anxiety, you had to wonder what was being given to Maddie to sedate her, subdue her, make her tired, or a little unaware of what's happening, unable to fight back, kind of thing. Y'all know where I'm going with that. And if that was happening, how long? Because everybody reported, and I'm saying the school, people who went to the teachers and friends did report that once Stefan moved back down to Northport in that, November, Maddie began to make an improvement. But by February, she was gone because Jen kept letting him come back. And according to her in her interviews, well, we were working on getting Stefan home because his daddy was making him go all real life and shit and get a job. And we were like, oh, God, no. She was like, he can't work. Then I won't ever get good sleep. All right. So if you look at, just to kind of get a feel for this report, guys, it's extraction report, Google Android generic, and it gives you a summary basically of the phone information here, the case number, the department, all the different things. None of that's really even means anything to us. And it goes into source extraction, right? And it lists, sorry, it's a distraction out my window. I don't know what that was. Extraction date, time. This is February 28th at 7:57 in the morning. the 28th at 8:15 in the morning. Now, that's the end time. So it starts just before 8 a.m. and it ends at 8:15 on the 28th. What happens on the 28th? It just gives you more information about the IDs and the file systems and all of that. This one here is a PAD backup report reader, a Cellebrite 2.0, whatever that is, that's blank. Okay, so then you go down here to contents. It gives you all your phone stuff, your calendar, your call log, your chats, your cookies, your events, all of the things, right, are listed there. And then you go into your calendar. So his calendar had a lot of auto filled in dates and times, right? But then he had only a couple of entries himself that I'd seen so far. Yeah, Anna, that from my research, it says you have to have a prescription to get that sevoflurane. You just can't order it through Walmart.com, right? You just can't. I even went and looked it up. I have Walmart app, so I go on there and I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna order this stuff, and no, it doesn't even come up. So, but all the research says you need a prescription. So who knows? But the only way I could think he would be able to obtain a prescription is to go back to the fact that his mom technically ran a dog kennel. But I don't know. My friend ran a dog kennel, like a legit building with a dog kennel. You could bring us your dog and board him up. But we didn't have Seroflane in the building, right? You would bring, if your dog was on, because I worked there with her for a little while. If your dog was on medication already, you could bring that to us and we would give it to your dog. We had to give dogs shots for being diabetic, anxiety medicine and stuff too, because they get all separation anxiety, but you never had to put no dog to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So it is weird that he was able to obtain it, but how is the question? I'm not sure about that. So anyway, back to his calendar here. All the shit's pre-entered, and he had dates entered back in October and, well, June, July, and October of 2023. All three were for haircuts at this one place. He had a Miller's Ale House appointment set up. He met some people at a meet and greet, but turns out they were like it was a meet and greet set up. He had a bunch of real estate emails. Remember, he had dads in real estate. He allegedly was going to work with his dad. So there was really nothing. He didn't communicate with anybody in these emails. None of these emails are between him and his dad. Those are all in the call logs. So I went through all of these emails, and literally there was nothing in there like communication with anybody, right? So then it moved into, after it went through the emails, and you can see it's just more. Should I zoom in? Can you guys see how that really works? Let me show you. Just for instance, we'll look at, oops. Let me see. What page is that on? 13? Let me look at an actual thing he did. All right, right here. So if you guys can see that, we got start time 10/8/23, 5 p.m. and then it's got the end date. Y'all know how your calendars work if you enter an event in or whatever. Sustenant@gmail.com. Now, Sustenant is the tattoo he has, and that was also his Reddit name. And then it gives the location of the barbershop, all that. So I'm letting you guys see that so you can see what the Cellebrite report will show, right? So it gave the location and the details, and it just says, automatically created. And then over here, the category, reminders, priority. So a lot of these will say read or unread. And so I'm assuming if it says unread, of course he didn't read it, but those who don't say anything, I'm assuming that means it was a read, right? Read email. And most of his appeared to be junk emails that all went unread. So there again, like you get your category, your reminders, what kind of priority level it was. It's interesting to see what a Cellebrite report will actually show about your phone, right? It is to me. Then on, what was it? Because this goes backwards, like here it is again with Floyd's on 6:30. I don't know if he canceled or just getting back-to-back haircuts. Couldn't tell you. Like, who the hell cares? But anyway, that's what it looks like. So then it went down to the next part was native messages was the next category, and I'll show you what that looked like. And we're going to read some of this stuff because some of it was like, okay. Let me get this caught up. Okay. Let me get the right page here and start. Okay, so that's the end of the, this starts the call log, sorry. So you'll see it here, it says call log, and then right above that was where we ended the calendar events. So then it goes down and shows you call log. Okay, so let me get that zoomed in a little more. All right. And this one is redacted, that first one, right? So it says from, and then over here it gives you your timestamp, 2:27:24 at 7:19 p.m. It gives you the duration of the call, the status, missed or answered. This one was missed. Country code is blank. Additional info, video call disconnection reasons. I guess it would show that if it was a video call. Also, there's what it was, just to give you guys another idea of what those look like here. It even shows the phone number. So here coming down, we have dad. This one for some reason is redacted when it says from. I don't know why they would redact it, but they did. Number 2 on the item line is dad, and he's calling in at 6:23:04 at in the PM. Sorry, so 6:32 p.m. and it's a 1 minute 40. The duration of the call is 1 minute 49 seconds. Now, the 27th. What day did Maddie disappear? The 26th. She was reported missing that Monday morning. This is the day after. So he's got that missed call there at, and a lot of this is information we find in some of those police reports, right? And we hear Chris talking about, oh, I called, but he answered. I called, there was no answer. So if you back up, though, like this one is at 6:02 p.m. So prior to that other call, he calls Stefan, and it's a missed call. And if you back up a little further down here at the bottom, there's another one. It actually started here. This is 10:25 a.m. in the morning. He gets that call from dad. It goes missed. And then dad calls back at 12:16 p.m. It goes missed. And then dad calls back at 6:02 p.m. It's missed. What was he doing? Out looking for Maddie, or sleeping off the Ativan, or being interviewed by the Popo. And then dad calls back 6:32. Then he finally answers, and they speak for 1 minute and 49 seconds, right? It's all there. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, he is going to be incarcerated for the rest of his natural life. He's just a couple hours from me. I'm going to make sure of it. No appeals for you today, buddy, and you're not getting out early. No. Florida we have new laws to deal with people like him, and he should have been our shiny example, but instead we let him go sit down for the rest of his natural life instead. Whatever. I have problems with that, but yeah, he's not going nowhere. Not anywhere good. Okay, so this starts native messages. So these are text that are coming in. This is from dad. And it starts actually On this one, Dad messages him on the 27th at 9:02 p.m. In between those call logs, you meet with the detective, and then texting, and then, but up here, this is at 12:01 p.m. Says, "You up?" He's texting Stefan. Stefan's not replying. So Dad wanting to know, "Are you up? Did you meet with the detectives?" And those are on both on the 27th. Now, when did Dad go to the hotel with him and Jen? Wouldn't that have been on the 27th? Is he calling him from the hotel room? So here, Stefan gets a Google verification code. Now, why is he needing a Google verification code? The 27th, 09 a.m. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, Stefan Stearns, the day after Maddie goes missing, he's done reset that phone. Did they give it back to him at that point, or hadn't taken it? Had just looked at it, and then they got it on the 27th later that day, right? This is 2 o'clock in the morning. Later that day, is that when Maria, what's her name? Is that when she took his phone? All right, so he's trying to get his Google verification code. Why? Because I done set my phone back to factory accidentally. And then if you go down, it starts his contact list. Now, I'm not going to show the contact list because there's people's names on there. I don't know these people, and I'm not trying to get my stream taken down midstream. There wasn't anybody on there that, should I say, stood out to me or wasn't familiar to me already. I didn't know all the people, of course. Like, stupid contacts were in there too, like, you pizza and stuff like this, whatever. But there wasn't anything in there that any of us need to see because it's very, it's not redacted with their names and stuff. Florida's like, we don't care. Here you go. Just do what you will with it. All right, so I'm not sure let me figure out which page that actually ended on and what this starts. Okay. Look, Snug Street. He had names of the different venues that would sell his games, and Tamagotchis, and different things like that. All his toy makers, like his Warhammer stuff, all those kind of types of contacts were in there. Let me make this bigger again. Oops. Oh. And I think now there was one name, 3 names that are redacted on that contact list, and I don't know why they're redacted, right? I could not tell you because they're like literally the only 3. And then there was one name, 2 other names that did stand out. And one I think is Stefan's brother. Remember, he's got the half brother. And then the other one was a name his mother mentioned as being one of Stefan's friends. And all I'll do is say his name was Frank. Frank was brought up once or twice. And that was literally all I saw in the contact. There was one that said a girl's name and then be at Galaga. Is that like the video game Galaga? What kind of Koberger shit is that? The girl 1 I hung with, girl 2. What? Yeah, whoever she was awesome at Galaga. And he had also noticed he had 3 different dermatology offices. Jen mentioned like in Botox. I don't know what's up with them 2 and the dermatologist, but y'all need something deeper than a damn dermatologist, like in a bad way. I think Botox should have been the last sort of therapy Jen was seeking out. Just my personal opinion. Okay, devices. We'll go start here. All right. Device info. I'm just kind of gonna some of this I'm just gonna show you the pages and we're gonna just look at what it looks like, right? So device connectivity. Let me make sure this was the end of the Okay. So it tells everything about your contacts, even when they were created. Okay, so this one will go into device connectivity. And it'll tell you paired connectivity named or nature paired with it's Bluetooth paired. And then it tells you other things as well in Bluetooth devices from the source. And then it gives you the start time and the date again. And then it tells you over here the different hardware and different things at play that are going into that the system is using. Now notice this. All right, you guys can still see everything cool. There's overwhelming evidence against Stearns. Cat, that's the understatement right there, girlfriend. Yeah, there ain't no doubt about what this guy did. No doubt about it at all. This is nothing like Delphi or any other case. This is a standalone pedophile case. Absolutely did the disgusting things he's convicted of doing. I read every fucking one of those documents. Every disgusting thing he did to that poor child, we read it, but she had to live it. Piece of shit. See, I can rip this guy all day long. In fact, it's my favorite thing to do. I did rewatch my Koberger short this morning with him in there cleaning his Crocs with Johnny Cash in the background because I just needed a good laugh. And it was quite funny. Can only imagine what Stearns is going through right now in my neighboring Florida State Penitentiary. It makes me want to get up and go. Y'all think he'd let me come for a visit? Think he'd feel my energy? I think I'd scare him to death. Might be the end of him. Anyway, factory resets. Here we go. All right. So Liquid was supposedly in airplane mode. No one knows. February 28th, in the two phone extraction reports in the Delphi case phone that appears to be a headset. And I shit you not, the prosecution's expert witness had to Google that once confronted with that evidence. He's like, oh, hold on, let me Google that. The minute an expert tells me, let me Google that, we got a hot problem. On the 28th at 2:44, so it goes back it on up. Okay, I keep forgetting. When did he start his bullshit? Okay. Look at this, though. Back in January 29th of 2024, he wiped that phone and reset it. Then you jump up to February 26th. That's the day that Madeline went missing. 12:12 p.m. So noon, a few hours after she goes missing, allegedly, from the church. He's wiping and factory resetting. He didn't use the same tools that Brian Koberger did he? On the 27th at 12 a.m., so midnight, he does it again. Which one of those was the oops, I did it again button? Wipe, factory reset. And then you go up to 12:01 a.m., he powers it on, and then he powers it right back off at 2:44. And then back on at 2:46. It's a weirdo. What are you doing, dude? So why did he go back and reset in January, I wonder? And then he does it again the 26th, 27th. Because he did it more than once, remember? All right. September of 2023, he also wiped and factory reset that phone. Now, can you imagine each time he's doing that, does he think he's getting rid of evidence? Or his phone got too full? Or is he aware he's backing that shit up to cloud? Or is he completely oblivious that he's ever done that, right? He's not too smart. And then it goes into your device info, all the things about your phone. He had the same phone I have, the Galaxy S23 Ultra. That's fucking sad because the only reason I got this phone, shit you not, was because of the capabilities of the camera and the video quality. I like to catch my grandbabies in action. I'd much rather have a photo of them being natural in my living room versus some prim and proper bullshit to hang on the wall. Nothing wrong with the family portraits. I'm just saying I personally prefer that. And that it took me a hot minute to buy that phone. I'm a cheap ass. I hate to think he bought it for the same reason. Because that's what he was using that bitch for most of the time. And that's not a cheap phone, by the way. That's why I never bought one before until I finally was like, I might as well treat myself. And guess what? That was 2 years ago, and it ain't going nowhere till she falls apart. I'm that cheap. So then he goes into his emails. Now, there was nothing super eventful about them. There weren't any like with dad or he was trying to get email recovery information. He was getting email notifications. There's some emails in here about stuff that were like, what? I knew about the Reddit post stuff. There were comments he would make to people. He would give advice on Reddit to people. He gave advice to a single mom one time, and I was like, what did you just say to that lady? A lady who was concerned that apparently in her childhood things had happened to her, so she was nervous about leaving her own daughter with her husband. And he's all like, women like you give men like us a bad name. Just dismissed her totally, right? It's all your fault, you shouldn't think that way. I wouldn't have reached out like that if I was that lady on the Reddit, but she did, and that's what she got, was totally gaslit by Stephon Stearns and told she was an idiot lady, let the daughter around the dad, right? End of story. But he went a little further in some of these. It's crazy. Some people think they're just the therapy to the world. I can't fix you. So look at what an email extraction can look like, though, on your phone. Emails. He had 1,388 emails. That's crazy. Well, that's not crazy because I have just as many. Oh, get off that page. It's people's names. I accidentally hit a button. Let me get back to where I needed to be. Sorry. Okay. Now, what is my screen showing what you got? Yeah, okay. I have to move this out of my way so I can see what you guys see. All right. Here we go. So it just shows you the emails, the parties up there, the devices, information. The timestamp, this is February 7th of 2024 is when this particular email was generated. And a Gmail account, which is his Gmail account. but it tells you the subject, Google verification. So this was on the 27th now, the day after Madeline goes missing on that other factory reset. And then it just gives you information about that. And if we move through, let me find the ones where he actually communicated, or the, hang on. He also got an Amazon shipment on the 29th. What page? Let's see. Is it on this one? On this page? Let's see. And I wonder if that shipment on the 29th from Amazon, because it was in January, y'all think that was that torso doll? Because there is, hold on. Where did it go? Let me look at my notes real quick because I want to show you guys this one on here that's just unbelievable. Well, it's not unbelievable. It makes sense considering what we've read and heard and from his mother and read in other documents and saw. So, where did it, which page is it on? I know I have it written down. Oh, there it is, way at the bottom. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. All right, so let me scroll down and just show you guys, because there's all of these are like unread junk emails, right? But that's what it does. It generates the email and it shows all of these specifics about your email, when it came in, the date, the time, the sender, the receiver, whether you read it or not, all of those things. And it's going to see if you replied and anything else it can think of as you move through this document. It's crazy that think about how many junk emails you have sitting in your mail. Now this is like, hi Stefan, your package has been delivered. And this is on the 27th at 2:19 p.m. A lot of real estate stuff was coming through because of, I guess, because of his affiliation with his dad, working with his dad. So let me get down to this one. Number 367. This is deep in the document, page 367. It's a, I just gotta wait till I read it to you guys. It's crazy. And to think this was what was living in the house with a child, and for old Soto to over there acting all oblivious is so hard for us to wrap our head around, right? Like, how could you not know? And when you see the small things that he was doing, when I say small, there's glimpses of what he was doing here and there. That certainly he was way into a lot deeper, darker shit than anybody ever wants to think. But how could she not be aware he was into just weird shit in general, outside of children? Like, look, I have a hard time with the weirdo stuff. And if I got a guy who wants weirdo stuff and needs that in his life, I got to wonder about you. If you need it, right? Now, what? You mean you need that shit in your life? That's not even normal to need that outside of normal stuff. I can't with that. That's abnormal to me, in my opinion. But do you? I'm cool with it if you find it, if both parties are consenting and you're both cool with it. That's different. All right, so look at this. Okay, now I'm not even going to say trigger warning. No, adult language warning. Here it comes. Maybe I should throw up the true crime banner that, that's what we are doing here, in case for those people who didn't know. Okay, and it's not even about any of this, but it's the best I got right now. All right. Just warning, it's just adult language here. And I'm not even going to say the actual word. All right. So this came to him on February 2nd. And remember what Mama fed her so much? The half torso doll, in case you didn't know. So he got this email from a place called Tantally. And I'm going to take it Plunder went there because I recall her saying in the video, don't click on the links. There's Stefan visited. And I thought, oh, shit, girl. We did that accidentally in a few of them other documents. But I didn't go to Tantally yet. I don't know if I want to, considering what I read. All right, so here we go. This email was sent to him from the Tantally website, I'm assuming. And it says, we'd love your feedback. Dear Stefan Stearns, thank you for shopping with Tantally. Your orders should have been delivered by now. How do you like the product? Does it meet your expectations? Is there any dissatisfaction with the product or our service? Please get back to us, and then that's redacted. We will resolve any issues for you. If you are happy with your purchase, please spare some time to leave a positive review with a video for us. With a video. Oh. Your video review will help other customers better understand Candace. Realistic hoo-ha sex doll in return. We can give you a bottle of Tantally lube as a gift. What the actual hell? A video of what him using the product, Candace, and her realistic hoo-ha. And in return, he'll get some free lube. Wasn't there lube found on the nightstand in the same room where Madeline had to spend her final night? I wonder now, thinking back, I need to go back into my documents and pull up that photo and look at that and see the brand name. And I wonder how many other weirdos are getting the rocks off with these realistic hoo-ha dolls. And there's only a half of them to start with. A half a doll. I don't even understand that. If you're willing to get it on with a doll that's just a half a person, you're not really looking for to replace an intimate with a person. Like if that's what your thing is, right? Like I just want companionship. You'd want the whole ass doll, but you don't even care about the whole ass doll. You just want part of her. That one part. It's disgusting. Now to think about to ask this man to video review anything and send it in and submit it scares me to death. Do places like this even care who their customers are? Know your customer. What is it? What's that? Know your customer? They do, apparently. So he had a Discord payment that was rejected on one of these emails. And we know that he and Maddie were both in Discord, like the gaming Discords and such. But I want to say Stearns might have been doing a little more than messing around in the kiddo. Well, I don't know. He's a pedophile. He's going to hang out where the kids are. If your kids are in a gaming Discord, be hyper vigilant. My 9-year-old is aware that he's not allowed to join gaming Discords. 9-year-old grandson. Now that he has that, what do you call that? MetaQuest thingy, virtual reality shit. That thing he wears on his face. Okay. Discord payment. This one succeeded. Thank you, Sustainant. Great success. Thanks for supporting Galaxy's Edge Discord. Do any of you know what Galaxy's Edge is? That like, I don't know. I don't know what that shit is. I don't pay for anything in the Discord. Anyway, that's just the kind of stuff it shows. And then that purchase for the doll. I mean, it's a lot of crazy stuff that you can see in these documents. And I don't really know what all is in the document, what all they can pull from the phone still, because that's what I'm looking at mostly. Of course, I'm looking through there to see if there's anything weird about this guy or any communications with anybody. I feel like if there were a lot of communications with anybody, it would be redacted to some extent. But it's crazy what you can see from a phone, right? The timestamp, the dates, all the things you would expect. And then, of course, all of these, the data behind it all that their readers are going to read, and all the tools that they use to extract this information. And then you think about, he's over here just data wiping a phone by factory reset. What exactly was Koberger doing? Then my thought went back to what Heather Bernhardt was saying about how hard it was to figure out that guy had done that. But then she explained how they could tell it was done, but still don't know what he did in some of the cases. So it's super interesting to me that the only way Stefan knew to manipulate the phone was to do a simple factory reset, right? Koberger's like, And it's important to learn what Koberger used to wipe that phone and how he learned of it. Was it simple as going to some websites and downloading some software that anybody could have access to? Or did it go a step further and he used forensic data wiping tools that they use at the WSU in their teaching? Because some of that stuff was done on the school computer. Don't think I didn't notice that in those documents there at WSU. Everybody's just thinking he went to some websites and got some fancy tools. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. What could you take? You know what I mean? They're like, you can't delete everything. It's all recoverable. But I don't know. This goes on forever with the with all his emails that he got. And then there's a lot of searches that he did as well. Where's the one where the Reddit posts emails? They were in the emails. This one lady had a question on the Reddit, and I don't know why people put this kind of stuff on Reddit, but she had a question about finding out her 13-year-old daughter used pads for her monthly and being upset about it. Like, what do I do now? She didn't have permission. I was like, what? She didn't have permission was my first thought. What was she supposed to do, poor child? But here she is on Reddit all upset about it, asking a question. And who chimed in? Stefan Stearns. And I'm like, dude, sit the hell down with that shit. Why do you got to chime in on that subject? That's gross and weird. It's weird that mom put that on Reddit to begin with and to be upset about that of all things. But then that you come in there and chime in on it, you bunch of weirdos. Like, y'all are weird. You Reddit people in this subreddit about kids. It's gross. I'm trying to get back to the beginning of this and to see. Okay, here we go. Because all of you'll notice this all says Chrome and then position, Daniel's Landing, Daniel's Landing. So let's, we're not going to be on here too much longer today because I'm going to continue to pour through some of this and try to make sense of it and see what is there. Okay. This is artifacts in his Apple stuff here, okay? So then if you go here, instant messages, right? So it starts here with the instant messages. Well, I'll to go back over the other stuff in a little while later. But the networks tells you, and this is important, like network connections, because they always wondered, did Koberger's phone touch this Wi-Fi, touch that Wi-Fi, and think about your phone's Wi-Fi, what it touches. And I found out by accident one day just by leaving my phones, because I had rarely left my phone with Wi-Fi on when I was at home. Now, it was on for whatever reason, but fortunately it was because the car connected to the phone, which I locked in the house by accident, right? It's a whole thing. But just what you connect to, right? And even in passing, and you may not realize it, but they have information here about network connections, spectrum setup. That was probably what they had there at the house at Jen's condo. And then the spectrum was where he was getting his Wi-Fi source from. So then it goes into purchased items now, or I'm sorry, searched items. Time of cold weather flying. What? Time of cold. Heavy foot weave bandage. I don't even know. What? What's that even mean, guys? So it goes into that. It tells you where the source was, too. Like he's searching under Chrome, the value, the origin, things of that nature. And it has identifier, deleted account. And there's all those are not even have anything in the categories. Lock picking past 375. Wow. What is he even talking about? Is that like searches he was doing? Lock picking guide. What lock was he trying to pick? This is this February 23rd. Classic lock. Titanium seal of Delaran WOL. Oh, is he looking for his toys? Jesus Christ. He had a lot of emails about his damn toys and his damn pizza delivery. Dungeons and Dragons, Hero Forge, just on and on. On the 20th, video call audio cutting out. How to fix FaceTime audio cutting out. Huh, interesting. February of 2024, because Maddie's little friend said that you were always FaceTiming Madeline. Were you having connection issues and you Periscope? Oh, goodness. You had connection issues and you didn't like that, did you? Beast. Line of sight lines. Line of sight scope. You gonna go out and bag a big one this year, buddy? You gonna put a big one on the wall? They got some pretty big deer down there in Central Florida. But I don't think that's what your weenie ass was doing. Wow, no, you're playing with your toys in the house. But he loved his guns. Awari demeaning. It's over. Good Lord. Just ridiculous shit, right? Lightsaber color test. Certified weirdo, Sandy says. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Rach. Or, I'm sorry. Yes. Hey, Rachel. But Butterfly, welcome back in. Thank you. I think, are you driving? Is that what you said? Yeah. Okay. Be safe. Oh, he's Googling the Balinese Melanoise. Oh, he needed to know how to pronunciation of the word, of the dogs. Why are you considering getting rid of Mama's poodles? Because you told the cops she was on death's door and you had to go home and help them with the end of life stuff. And them damn poodles, he was going to sell Mama's poodles and buy him a Belgian Malinois. So I'll show Mama them aggravating poodles. I grew to love those poodles only because they aggravated the shit out of Stefan Stearns. My granny had that kind of poodle, and that was the stupidest dog on earth. But we loved his big ass. He annoyed us, but granny loved that damn dog, so we had no choice but to love the dog too. I grew to like Stefan's mama's dogs only because they annoyed him. Why does he look hard? It's like he was going to get out and ride one. Of course, you're looking for food. What was Bob Chapek's severance package? Why is he looking at that guy? How many Disney CMs are currently employed in the US? This guy was totally obsessed with Disney. Have y'all noticed? It was not just one of those overgrown kids who loves Disney. I worry about you people. There's liking Disney, and oh my God, this guy was obsessed with some damn Disney, which, as a Floridian who took her kids to Disney all the time and was always hyper vigilant about who my kids associated with and who if you paid particular attention to my child, I don't give a shit if you're in a big ass animal suit or not. You better back off right now because Mama Bear's watching, right? People like him's the reason why. Go stand there with your beady ass eyes and wave my family through. Don't think I wouldn't. If I'd have seen him, he'd have been that one guy. I'd have been like, oh goodness. I know it in my gut because I did it so many times at Disney. No shade to Disney. I'm not making any accusations, but you never know who those nice people really are, right? And my kids loved that experience of Disney, and I wasn't about to take it away from them, but I'm watching your ass in your big ass goofy suit. Not today, Satan. Okay, so moving on. He's concerned about the Disney people. Submarine dressing, Mr. Whipple. Dietary sources of potassium. Oh, God. Stefan. He's looking at knives. He's looking at real estate. Summerport Village in particular. I don't know if that's one of his dad's listings or something he was managing and handling for Dad when Dad was trying to make him make a legal living over there in Northport. Is subletting illegal? Now, we're starting. Plunder pointed it out in her video where he started talking about this. I mean, remember when he first moved in with Jen Soto, she said they shared that room together. And then at some point they broke up, and then he moved upstairs to room 4 and became a renter. Stefan's dad was paying that rent every month, where he was not before because he was sleeping in Jen's room. But once he moved upstairs to his own room with a number on it, you're now a tenant. And she had the other roommates as well. Come to find out, old boy's up there with his camera secretly recording one of those roommates as well. And she finds out once the cops get his phone and find it and tell the poor lady that it was happening. So now he's over here wondering if subletting is legal in Florida. Is subletting legal? Is subletting legal? Is subletting legal? Where was he going with that shit? Custom plastic playing cards. The man child over here. You can't even call him a man. Men and women like these two don't. I can't. Ricky Bobby death commercial. Ricky Bobby commercial meme. Man, he's just in the mood on the February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. Huh. Wasn't there some things that went down right around that time frame in them other documents? He's over here, Ricky Bobby. Woohoo. Help us all, baby Jesus. Mm-mm-mm. So that's what your Google searches would look like on a Cellebrite report, right? Your time, your date. Chrome is your search engine. Or what your terms were. House long to die in cold. What? Can you own a gun after being Baker? Baker Act in Florida? You don't say. Stearns, I know what that means. No, sir. What are you afraid of? When was this? February 1st? Was he afraid he was? Can you own a gun after being Baker acted? Can you own a gun after being Baker acted? What in the world are you searching that for, and why? Can you own a gun after Baker Act? 3-day waiting period for guns in Florida. Firearm waiting period. Now, y'all know he had a gun, and he had it. I'm going to get in trouble by the YouTubes for saying that word too many times. I cannot say pew pew. I'm not fucking 5. He had one in the console, or actually in the car, and the cop could see it. Cop's like, dude, you might want to secure your weapon and your gun, you know. So did he purchase the firearm and get his little permit? Did he ever have a Baker Act hold before? That's a 3-day hold. Okay, so in Florida, a Baker Act is a 3-day hold that the police can initiate, or a family member, right? Your closest relative can initiate a Baker Act. And generally, under the Baker Act law in Florida, they take you in for 3 days to stabilize you, medicate you if needed, and stabilize you. And then after that, you can be released either into a hospital with treatment, or go home, outpatient, follow up with mental health physicians. And that's the end of it. That's a Baker Act in Florida. So I wonder who got Baker acted, him or Jen, or are he just curious by nature? Ooh, that little bit of coffee was cold, and not the good kind of cold. Pirate pickup lines. Ew. As part pirate, I don't approve of that shit. January 28, 2024, pirate pickup lines like that. Well, it might work for some ladies. My God. He had some weird searches, y'all. I know if y'all ever looked at my searches, or they ever pulled my Cellebrite report, it might get a little sketchy. They're going to have questions, but I can prove it was all for research for cases. God dang. Look harder. Try harder. All the things. So just moving through it. Napoleon Dynamite dance. Oh, God. Was he going to make some TikToks? Lord help us all. But I think it's interesting to go through a Cellebrite report and to see what all it does see and what all it can extract from a phone. Renaissance plague victims painting. Spam and eggs. The fuck? Y'all, I could be here all day looking at this dude's weirdo shit. Uh-oh, Janet Bailey, welcome to Lead Investigator. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Rachel says them standard poodles are very smart. Our grannies used to let us ride his ass. He was so big, like a horse. We thought he was a mini horse. Big black dog, just like those ones that Stefan's mom has. It was weird. His best friend was her little black and white English bulldog dude. We called him B-Dog. That was a pair, those two dogs. My God. My granny spoiled those two dogs to no end. He's searching YouTube or Googled, oh, unalived girl's Gemma. What? He had a bunch of searches for this on January 6th, like boom, 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 boom. Unalived herself, girl's Gemma. What in the world? UPS tracking, January 5th. Or you tracking your stupid doll? I don't know, guys. Battletech Gunslinger program. He just, all he ever cared about was his personal play toy and his Disney shit and his Warhammer stuff. He was So immature. It's one thing to be a toy collector and it's one thing to be into it. That's cool. Go do your hobby. But that's all this dude seemed to do. And he continued, his dad even pointed out, and his mom, that he was all the time getting the packages, right? Every time we turned around, Stefan's getting a damn package. The money's coming from somewhere. And we're like, yeah, where is that money coming from? Are we selling stuff on the internet? But no federal charges ever came down for that. Waited on that to happen, but it never did. So anyway, that's what it looks like, guys. And it's mostly like this is file info, important notices, extractions, and it talks about the different things they did and all that data lingo we're never going to understand, or I'm not anyway. How could you? And you get Bernhard over here. Maybe she can answer some questions for us, ma'am, if you're interested. But anyway, that's what it looks like. There's a lot to go through with it still. We're not going to learn anything super new out of that or anything mind blowing. Just it's going to double down on what kind of weirdo this guy really was, and just more of the red flags people should look at. If your man's getting a bunch of strange packages and you don't know what's in them and you're not even paying attention, don't be the one that don't pay attention. There's trust, and then there's blind trust, right? And your children, your babies are absolutely worth you being due diligent about. It's okay if you got a gut feeling. Try not to second guess yourself too much. I think we're all guilty of that second guess, but don't ponder on it too long and just pay attention. Just don't be blind to it. Have y'all been watching that damn Brian Walsh trial? Those opening statements were ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous because the fact that he's like, okay, my wife died. We're like, we know, but we assumed that all this time. But then he comes out of there, with like, yes, he said that Anna passed away in the bed. She's fine one minute. He goes downstairs in the middle of the night to do the dishes or clean up the kitchen. He's down there like maybe an hour or whatever. He goes back up. He just gets a weird feeling. He nudges her, no response. He nudges her again so hard she falls off the bed. And that's when he realizes she's no longer with us. What does he do? What does he do? Decisions, decisions, decisions. Good or bad. He decides to not call the police, not call 911. Panicked instead. And after that, I'm not sure what he did. But I kind of loosely followed the trial throughout the day of the different things. And so far, what I've learned, have they even gotten to why he is going to explain all the bizarre things he purchased, right? The cutting instruments and things of that nature, the rugs and all the blood. How do you justify, I found her that way, and then it moves to, but I decided the best thing to do would be to chop her up and throw her all around town. How do you explain that? You don't. So I'm kind of like, whatever, I'll get back to y'all when the good shit starts to happen. Now, I think today, now I know like one or two cops, at least one, have testified over in the Reed case. It doesn't matter to me. I don't see any parallel. No. Doctor's name was already brought up that's the problem with corruption. In one case will bleed over into every other case. Look at the Sandra Birchmore case, but then you got the Brian Walsh case, and it's like, that's why we can't have corruption. Jesus, can y'all not get the bigger picture, right? So I'm following it a little bit here, trying to keep up. I'm just, from a legal standpoint, I want to see where the defense goes with that shit. Well, how do you justify that and make a jury walk away with, oops, his bad. He really didn't intend to do all that. Makes no sense. Yeah, Janet, we agree around here. Stearns is a complete monster. I'm not even going to give him the benefit of, that guy is so bad. So bad. But I know where he's at. I know what he's getting. He's getting far worse than what Koberger's getting through the vents. He just hadn't filed formal complaints about it. Stefan before he went to prison. See, Florida does it different. Them old boys got him before he ever went and started making him give them his phone cards. That's when it started. Now they owned you. You want to stay alive, pretty boy? That's what they call him, probably, not me. Play ball. Play ball. And he apparently learned real quick what to do, unlike Koberger. He didn't play ball. You know what I'm saying? Koberger's like, oh, they're yelling at me through the vents, and I got ugly bananas. Stearns is like, okay, here, you can have my phone card. Anything else you want, just please don't hurt me. Until that one day he makes the wrong one, then it's on. It's on. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let you guys go for today. Going to keep an eye on what's going on in the Delphi case with the appellate briefs. Waiting for the actual appellate brief to be, to come down with all of the new words that can be added and all of that, and get them time to get that prepared. And once that comes down, that will be definitely something that we follow here and that we take a look at and read it and cover it. We're still waiting on more documents to come down in the Koberger case. They're taking their sweet time on these latest unredacted drops, if you will. Nothing new to report in Celeste Rivas except what grand jury shit happened. But that's all we know. And I'm not even going to get into these war over who's reporting what and who's accurate and who's not. I don't know anymore. We don't know. We don't know what's happening, Then over there in the Kepner case, I'm hearing some words that her bio dad is not happy with the stepbrother and the stepmom now. So I think there's actually a hearing tomorrow in that the child custody case, the one that the judge, we reviewed that hearing here, right? The last one, the emergency order hearing for the daughter, where to place her or whatever. That hearing is to be held tomorrow, I think. So I don't know if anybody's going to put it out there or not. It talks about minors, so I'm sure it'll be handled with whatever the court does. I don't mind playing what a court proceeding does. I have no issue with that. But we'll see if that becomes available at some point, because that's how we learned real details about the 16-year-old brother being a true suspect, was in that emergency hearing on the child custody case between her stepmom and her kid's bio dad. Good Lord, when adults start having, I had one mom and two dads, one bio and one bonus. I'm glad I didn't have multiples. Lord, I'd have been like, slow down, parents. What are y'all doing? All right. Yeah, we're waiting on, we'll wait for hearing rates. Hopefully we can get some new stuff coming down in some of the cases we're following. And I'll be keeping up on things as well. If you guys see anything popping off out there you want to talk more about or hear more about, let me know. And we'll keep moving through this stuff and unpacking it as they come down. If I see anything else that's like really important in those Stearns document that needs to be talked about, I'll do it. I just think the Cellebrite report itself is interesting to go through. So I appreciate that opportunity at least. All right, y'all go have a great afternoon. Be safe on the YouTube streets and all the things. Take life and the streets with a big old grain of salt. All right. If I can get this to work, my technical difficulties back here are not. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to have an exit outro kind of thing going on, guys. So y'all take it easy and hope